Welcome back, sports gamers. Have some new and old Madden 19 franchise info for you today. EA dropped a franchise blog, and most of it was already covered in my two earlier videos, but I'll go over some of it and point out what is actually new information. Starting off with player archetype progression, Madden 19 introduces a new way to progress and classify your players in franchise with archetype progression system. Each position is now broken up into 2 to 4 styles used to grade the player. For example, the quarterback position now has 4 styles: field general, scrambler, strong arm, and West Coast. Matt Ryan may be an 80 overall West Coast, but only has a 78 overall scrambler. On the other hand, Deshaun Watson may be an 82 overall scrambler, only a 79 overall West Coast. These archetypes overall make it easier to evaluate player strengths and weaknesses. This isn't much different than in Madden 18, but it ranged as archetypes now, which I identified in the previous video. You earn skill points by acquiring enough XP for a player to level up. XP is earned during gameplay, of course, training, awards, and more. Once you earn the skill point, spend it on one of the player archetypes, upgrade the overall for that archetype by a full point. So at the end of each game, you're presented with all the players that have skill points and are ready to upgrade, just like last year. Let's say you want to upgrade Matt Ryan's West Coast overall. It's currently an 88 overall, so spending 1 point will increase individual player ratings, which will elevate his West Coast to an 89. This time, the West Coast upgrade awards +1 to play action, deep accuracy, +2 to short accuracy, and so those are things that West Coast focuses on. So to get a second point, he can receive. If he got a second point, he can receive +1 to play action, short accuracy, and throw power. The number of rating points earned for each upgrade varies, but will always move you up 1 overall point in the select archetype. So instead of upgrading your player's individual categories, you upgrade the archetype, which increases specific categories favored by that archetype. So if you had a scrambler and you increase his by overall point, it might affect things more like speed than the West Coast did, the play action. So it just kind of streamlines a little bit how the upgrade process with the archetype system. So these decisions make you. So let's take a really full list of offensive and defensive schemes. I've already gone over this as well in the previous video, so I'll quickly go through them. Offensive is the West Coast zone run, West Coast power run, vertical zone run, vertical power run, multiple zone run, multiple power run, spread, run and shoot. And on the defensive side, base 4-3, multiple 4-3, base 3-4, multiple 3-4, Tampa 2 and 4-6 defense. As well, there's also a big nickel that's not a set, but it's included in a lot of these defensive playbooks, which it really is has some really good schemes in there. So for the draft class creator, which is one of the most requested for things that they have in the game, you have the ability to create custom draft classes, which opens up after week 3. You'll be prompted to either use an auto-generated class, download a class, or import a locally saved class. You can download and import anytime scouting is available. Even if it's later in the season, you can download draft classes from the Madden Share Hub, and it can be any amount of draft classes. Someone can include as many created classes as they want in that file. When you access the draft class creator menu, a transaction log is sent to other people in your league so they know you saw the full draft class. And each time that you modify a player, everyone is noted as well, so you keep track of who people are changing. For multiple user leagues, only the commissioner can adjust these draft classes. In addition, you'll experience the NFL draft and Madden in a brand new way. The draft stage presents which team is on the clock and who the previous pick was on a giant video board in front of the crowd. When it's time to make your pick, your draftee will be sporting his new uniform with his ratings and development trait are revealed. This honestly was a bit disappointing, as you don't actually see your player walk across the stage or see the commissioner welcome into the league. It'd be cool if they build upon this next year and make it like a full NFL draft experience. So for the dynamic development trait, a player's development trait determines how quickly XP they earn from training in games. They've updated them from normal, quick, star, and superstar, so you don't have slow anymore. It's much harder to be a superstar than in years past. There's only a few superstars per position, what makes them difficult to get, but the traits change more frequently. At the end of each season, each player is evaluated on how well they did compared to the rest of the league. Their performance will result in the development trait going up, down, or staying the same. Superstars need to perform at a consistently high level and be statistical leaders in order to keep their superstar trait. Rookie superstars are now more rare. They're the ultimate reward for scouting and draft process. It's actually cool when you draft a superstar player in the draft screen, he actually celebrates. I like that because you really makes you get excited when you get one of those top players in the draft. So for each position, there are different archetypes. For quarterback, you have strong arm, scrambler, West Coast and field general. Halfback, you have power back, elusive back, receiving back. Fullback, blocking and utility. Wide receiver, deep threat, possession, red zone threat, slot receiver. Tight end, vertical threat, possession, blocking. Offensive line, agile, power, pass protector. Defensive line, run stopper, speed rusher, power rusher. Middle linebacker, you have field general, pass coverage, and run stopper. For outside linebacker, you have pass coverage, run stopper, speed rusher, and power rusher. Cornerback, you have man-to-man, zone coverage, and slot corner. Safety, zone coverage, run support, and hybrid. Kicker and punter, accurate and power. So the reason all these archetypes matter is because of the coach scheme fits. The coaching scheme actually matters more this year. You kind of build your team around players that match the scheme. They'll develop faster and give you more success on the field. Starting by choosing an offensive defensive scheme, to make your decision easier, you can scroll through all the available schemes and see how many players in your roster are a scheme fit. And from that screen where you choose your scheme, they actually do a good job of showing you exactly which players fit into that scheme. So if you have a West Coast zone run scheme, it actually shows that it works for agile offensive linemen. And if you have like a West Coast passing scheme, it shows that it fits those type of receivers that are more possession receivers. So from that screen, it actually makes it easier for you to figure out what players to really go after. So you can change your scheme at any point for full control of how you want to build your team. Draft the stud strong arm quarterback in the first round. If you want to maximize his development, simply switch to a vertical power run or a vertical zone run offense and start building your team around him. Your quarterback will now get bonus XP in training because he is a scheme fit. Shape your players to fit your scheme by upgrading the archetypes your scheme prefers until they flip to a new player type. So you're not, you don't have to fit that scheme that player's in. You can actually change your scheme for that player. So if a player does not a fit there, you can change your scheme around them and start building him towards the scheme that you want. So you're not just kind of pigeonholed into one thing. So for the depth chart positions, they've added 7 new specialist depth chart positions. I have covered these in previous video as well. The nickel and dime defenses now have a rush left end and rush defensive tackle, a rush right end, and a sub linebacker and slot cornerback position. So for these defensive sets, these players are automatically already in nickel and dime. So you can go on the depth chart and set that up, what players that you want. Really, it's going to be more for passing downs. For the sub linebacker position, the best pass coverage linebacker will be in that spot. The slot corner will be the best players in your team using slot corner overall, but will not fill with cornerback 1, cornerback 2, free safety, or strong safety 1 unless their archetype is slot corner. And there are some players like Tyrone Matthew who, even though they are a safety, they have a very high slot corner rating, which of course they will be slotted in that position. For the slot wide receiver depth chart position, there will be the best players in your team using the slot receiver overall. That will not be wide receiver 1, 2, or tight end 1, or halfback 1, unless their archetype is slot receiver. This will ensure that players like Miami Dolphins Danny Amendola are used in the slot, but guys that are better outside stay outside, because no one in franchise mode likes wide receiver 1 in the slot cheese. So they also have the power halfback is used in goal line formations, other heavy sets as your running back. He will be the best player in your team to tote the rock between the tackles using a new power back overall. If you have an elusive back as your best halfback, want to keep him in goal line formation, just swap him into that starting position. You can do it how you want to. Your third down running back now uses a new receiving back overall. Your third down running back will come in on third down for many formations. Some playbooks even have your third down coming on shotgun formations for other downs as well. These new positions are a godsend for people who have wanted a running back by committee for a while, and this makes it a very easy way to do that. For kick returners and punt returners, they got some love. The CPU would never have a starting player, halfback, wide receiver, cornerback, or safety as a kick returner. They will use starters to return punts if the kick return rating is high enough, though. That means guys like Antonio Brown will be back there during punts but won't see the field during kickoffs. There are 11 new player ratings that have been added in Madden 19 and really help set the players apart, especially with the archetype system they have now. For example, the new run block finesse and pass block finesse ratings will be featured on agile linemen, but power linemen will rely on the new run block power and pass block power ratings. They have break tackle, which determines broken tackle success for ball carriers versus standard tackles, not hit sticks or cut sticks. Break sack determines how the QB will escape a sack inside the pocket. Throw under pressure determines passing accuracy when thrown under pressure. Run block power, run block finesse. Lead block, which determines success chance for blockers leading from the backfield or pulling from the line. Pass block power, pass block finesse. Short route running when using the running short routes, slants, and drags. Medium route running when running median routes, curls, digs, etc. And deep route running when using the running deep routes there. So it really sets players apart there. They're adding more ratings to the game, which can only be good for the gameplay because too many players play identical or the same with same ratings in Madden. Now this can further differentiate each player from each other on the field. With the immersive environments they've added in Madden 19, when you're playing with a coach or player, you'll actually see their office. If your coach has won a Super Bowl, you'll see the Lombardi trophy on the shelf. If you go to the locker room environment, you'll interact with the players as well. This looks really cool. It is a welcome addition which makes your franchise feel more real. As if you are building your team and wheeling and dealing trades, you'll see the coach on the phone, like planning meetings and taking notes. If you're a player, you'll see your player in the locker room as he prepares for his next game. The snapshot feature is a cool addition where you actually take photos of your best plays and moments in the game, and then they use those in the highlight screen and in the franchise screen, even when you're loading up in the main menu. I didn't have much time to really get hands-on and play around with this, but it seems like a cool feature to feel like the franchise is more personalized and more updated to what's going on the field. So team captains can now be added and removed from the roster. This is a big addition that people have been asking for a while. You can add up to 6 captains per team. The captain patch will appear on the player's uniform, and each star denotes how long they've been a captain. Not all teams allow for the stars to be shown on uniform, but all captains will have a star icon visible on the field. This feature will quickly identify the top players on the opposing team. I played around with this and was able to remove the captain badge from one player to another. Wasn't a huge deal for me, but many people in the community really wanted it, so happy for them that this was added. So regression: at the end of each season, players regress based upon their age and development trait. This year the regression is more dynamic, meaning each rating will have a unique chance of going down. High development players regress slower than other players, and the age at which players are at different positions start regressing have been adjusted. This means that high caliber players have a better chance of extending their careers and climbing their way up the legacy board. I did not get to test regression past 2 seasons, but in older players it appeared to have less of a drop off in previous games. So guys like Larry Fitzgerald are going to drop to 70 speed after a season or 2 in your franchise. So you should still be able to play and be successful with those older players. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I have another video of unreleased details from my sit down with Clint Oldenburg, as well as some Madden gameplay coming soon. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn those notifications on so you don't miss anything. This is the naturalsportsgamersonline.com. I'm out.
I be pulling and get I just be counting the bread counting the 150 all of the guap I cannot let go. No. Pull a banana. I be yeah, they snitching, they be dead by tomorrow. No. Pull up a chopper. I be on that if you talking all that high.